questions in the room for Hunter Dale?
What's a bigger challenge, preparing for Jake Browning or Miles Gaskin?
They're both phenomenal players. Their team is phenomenal. They've been very successful against us in the past, and I feel like we don't want to prepare for just two players because somebody could come. They have so many good players that somebody else can just break out and beat us. So right now we're just going to focus on them as a whole offense, and I think that's what our plan is, to just focus on as another regular team instead of individuals.
Peyton mentioned that you guys weren't physical enough in the past. What has kind of stood out to you and why things have gone wrong in previous Apple Cups?
Yeah, I just think people have listened to the hype in the past Apple Cups of how good Washington is and that we're their little brothers and how they've beaten teams that we may have lost to during the season. And I just think that this year people are believing that we have something special under our belts and that we're not really looking at this as the Apple Cup. We're just looking at it as another team that's in our way of achieving our goal.
Gardner talked about you guys having that belief. Peyton said that this is a little bit different. This team feels special. Where does that belief come from?
I think that belief comes in of how our off-season preparation, at practices, the confidence that people are practicing with, the speed that they're practicing with, and then in the games, and when we see it all come together, being successful in the field, come back in the locker room, everybody's excited, and each game that belief gets a little more higher and higher. And I think this is probably the most tight-knit team I've been around in the past 4 years here.
Last year you guys had quite a bit, you were a very successful team heading into Apple Cup, and it was obviously as big as it was this year, winning, whoever wins is the Pac-12 North winner. But you guys have dealt with way more noise than ever before. Does that help you heading into the biggest game of the season?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can't look, we're not looking past that this is a very big game for us and that we know what's on the line. But at the same time, I think our team is very focused on just playing one more game like we've done all week, going 1-0 each week. And I think that a lot of our players are saying the same things to us. Young players are doing the same thing. Like, we just need to focus on winning this game, guys. We know what's ahead of us, but right now we just need to focus on winning this one. And I think people are already starting to prepare. I think people have already been in our coach's office this morning, early in the mornings, and I'm just very excited to get out there and start preparing for them.
Has your hatred kind of grown for UW as you've been here, or has it changed or wavered at all?
I mean, being from the ones, I never even knew about the Apple Cup until coming up here. And I wouldn't say hatred, but yeah, for sure, some revenge, something like that, trying to get back on top of them is for sure something that's on my mind.
You mentioned people saying that Washington State is Washington's little brother. Does that irk you a little bit when you hear stuff like that?
Yeah, it does irk me a little bit. I mean, because we haven't really proven that we're not for the past 3 years that I've been here. And I think that's something that we're trying to prove, that we're not anybody's little brother, because we've been showing that we're very successful in the past couple of years I've been here. And I think that we just need to go out there and play our game instead of think of it as us playing Washington.
What is it like coming into this game and being the favorite this time around?
I mean, like Peyton said, I don't think that we've got the respect that we've got all year, even knowing we've lost one game by not that many points. And we've gone in every game going with this underdog attitude, and I think that's how our team believes so much, is because we have this underdog attitude that no one believes in us, and we go out there and we're trying to prove people wrong. And I think that's what's making us so successful. And it's nice to be favored in the game, but I mean, that really doesn't have anything to do with the outcome of the game.
How do you kind of balance the fine line of playing with passion but not being overly emotional in such a big game, and that being a rivalry?
Right, just playing with passion, that means with our team that people are just going to do their job and have fun with it. We're going to get very excited over plays, and then if something bad happens, because there's always adversity in the game, that we're going to get people up. And I think that we've done a great job of, when adversity hits, that we don't start scrambling around and start worrying about things. We get on the sideline, we get the adjustments right, and I think that's where our team has been very successful. Instead of panicking, we just calm down when things go wrong.
Do you think that might be the difference between maybe this year and years past, that like kind of your definition of playing with passion, doing your job? Maybe years past, playing with passion was, being an all-star and being the MVP of the team?
Right. I think the past couple of years we've had some people that are trying to go make the play instead of do their job and get somebody else to make the play where they're supposed to be. And I think this year we've done a great job of just focusing on us and believing and trusting that our teammate is going to be where he's supposed to be, and I thought it's paid off tremendously.
You guys have been in this exact position before, this week use that as fuel, or is it just not mattering?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the past 3 years, Washington's been the team that's been in our way to get to the Pac-12 championship, and it kind of gets aggravating after a while that you just can't get past that one team. And like Peyton said, this is the only team I haven't beaten in the Pac-12 either, and I think a lot of people know that, especially the seniors that are on the team, and people know that it's about time that we prepare right, and we don't take this as such an Apple Cup as this is our Pac-12 championship. This is another game that we need to win.
Having so much on the line, your final regular season game as a Coug, does that excite you a little bit?
Yeah, it does excite me. Just know how much success we've had this year, and that Mark Stadium is going to be electrifying, and that these guys, I can tell, are ready to play. We just need to get some like mentally ready for these games, some game plans and stuff like that. But I feel very confident in the people that we have that are going to be on the field with us.
UW hasn't been great in the red zone this year, especially in terms of scoring touchdowns. Does that kind of make you lick your lips a little bit as a defense, or?
I mean, as a defense, we hope that they don't get there, you know. But when Coach Grinch was here, and then now the coach is here, we've always said that they're not in until they're in. And we had a great example of that last week when Jihad stripped the guy on the inch-yard line, and we got the ball back. So I mean, in the red zone, it's very fun to play in the red zone because, especially if we're in the Crim Zone, it gets very loud in Martin Stadium. But we just have to defend every inch of that field.
At first look at their offense, I mean, they've got athletic receivers, but what and obviously Miles Gaskin and Jake has been there forever. What stands out to you guys that, for you in your mind, needs to happen to win this game?
Yeah, as an offense, they're just very fundamentally sound too, and we have to also do that. And they're a type of offense that you can't make a mistake because they will capitalize on it from touchdowns or a big play. So we just need to do our best job of doing our job, and then when we get in there, we need a gang tackle. We can't let people tackle on their own because every one of their players is very electrifying with the ball in their hand, and they can make anything happen at any moment. As long as we run around as a defense as we've been all year, I think we'll be very successful.
Most seasons you have a team has one or two losses that set them back or where they can really look at and learn from. The only one you guys really have is USC, where you guys were with them right down to the wire.
Yeah.
Does that give you confidence, or how did you guys kind of learn more and continue to push on the gas instead of falter?
Yeah, we've learned from that game, but also games that we've won, we've had our troubles too, especially on defense. And it's a great thing. We have the defensive meeting as a unit around like 1:25 on Sundays, and he shows us some of the plays that went for big touchdowns or big gashes. And he shows us, like, I know we didn't lose, but this right here could have been a play that we could have prevented, that could have been could have made it not a close game. And then we learn from that. And then we also on the field would go over plays that have gotten us trouble from the previous game that the team that we're about to play might run because we had trouble with it. So I feel like we're learning from every game that we played and had trouble with.
Sorry.
Oh, no, go for it.
Lost in all the hype of this game. It's going to be senior night as well. You guys are riding a 13-game win streak at Martin Stadium. You being a senior, I mean, what's it going to be like to run out there on the field for one final time to find out?
Yeah, I don't think it's hit me yet that it's my last game in Martin Stadium until I actually run out there and go meet my mom and my cousin. But just can't let that get in the way right now. It's cool to have a senior day, but when you have something this special on the line, you kind of focused on that right now instead of all the other things.
Hunter, Logan Tago's been with you pretty much every step of the way, and you've seen the ups and the downs. And how cool is it to see that, you know, this last year it's mostly been the ups, and he's been able to overcome the downs? Yeah,
it's really cool. So my freshman year when we used to do 7-on-7, Logan was actually a receiver, and he was on offense, so we didn't really know much about Logan. Then he moved into defense, and I think he's stepped up in so many ways that I can't even explain, because he's just such a hard worker in the field, on the field, in the weight room, off the field, and he practices as hard as he can on practice days, and that gets other people rolling too, because you see Logan practice hard, it's gonna make somebody else practice hard, and he's just a phenomenal player. He's caused a lot of corruption in the backfield for us as DBs and also in the run game, and he stepped up tremendously.
This defense lost a lot last year, and you were on several very good defensive teams. This team, people didn't look at it as being one of the best in the Pac-12. How fun has it been to see you guys get better, and what's the journey been like?
Yeah, it's kind of like that underdog story again. You know, they're not believing in our defense, and I don't think they've ever believed in our defense ever. And that one thing that we focus on is defense, just worrying about us. We don't worry about the offense on the field. Don't worry about special teams. We worry about what we can do. And I think just this defense has also got that in the back of their head that nobody believed in us in the beginning of the season, and that's really put a chip on our shoulder to go out there and prove people wrong.
Then we mentioned that 13-game home winning streak. Does that make you feel a little bit more confident coming into this game?
Yeah, it does make you feel confident, but I just know that every team we play is going to bring their A game, especially when they're playing us here. And I just know it's hard for people to win with our crowd, how loud it gets, and then we feed off of our crowd, and I think that makes us play better. But it's hard to win here. It's proven from the 13-game winning streak. We just got to keep doing us and focusing on us.
You talked about being an out-of-state guy when you came here. You didn't really know much about the Apple Cup. When you first got here, did you immediately realize the magnitude of this rivalry, or did it take a while to kind of realize how big this game actually was?
Yeah, it took me till probably my sophomore year when they beat us here, when we had another Pac-12 championship in our sights and they beat us. But around that time, I realized that I was like, yeah, these teams don't like each other. The fans don't like each other. There's homes divided because of this game, and I didn't realize this until we lost after, and people were still talking about how we're their little brother and things like that, and that's really gotten in my back of my mind. Like, this is a big game, and these are the type of things that you love to play for.
Any questions on the phone line for Hunter Dale?
Hunter, Larry Stone from the Seattle Times here. Just quickly, Coach Bleach, what have you noticed about him come Apple Cup week in past years? Does he change his attitude, his intensity, or does he treat it just like another game?
Yeah, that's probably one of the coaches I'll probably say never changes how he approaches games, never changes his attitude. He treats every game like it's supposed to be, as if we were playing Portland State or Boise State. He's going to treat it just like that game week every week.
Other questions on the phone line for Hunter? Okay, back in the room.
Hunter, does it seem like the last few weeks it's just kind of one game after another, that where in the past couple of years you could say, well, this is the game that tripped us up last year? And do you kind of place this game in that context?
I mean, in the past we've also had more losses than we had this year, so you could kind of say if we did this, if we did that, but that's one thing that we don't like to do, look in the past or look in the future. We're trying to focus on this week, and I just think it's a perfect setup for us this year to just focus on this one game. And I felt like we've treated every game like that game is gonna be like why we couldn't go somewhere. So I feel like that's why we focus on each game this week.
Anything else for Hunter? All right, thanks, Hunter.
Thank you.